Hello friends, and welcome to Figure Study, where we appreciate the form in Transformers, and in this case it's a bit belated, or a lot belated, because today, taking a look at Combiner Wars Powerglide. Yeah, Combiner Wars. I've had this guy since before I even started this channel, I think, and I just never made a video on him for some reason. I don't really know why. I may have rolled him into a video with the aerial bots back when I did Unite Warriors Superion, but I don't remember. But I wanted to give him his own video, because I actually really like Powerglide. I actually used to own the original, and have been, I've been tempted by, I think it's DX9, they did their Richtofen, or Richtofen, or however you pronounce it, their Masterpiece style Powerglide. I've been tempted by that, but I actually think Combiner Wars did a pretty solid job with him. He's got his problems, to be sure, but I do like him as just a simple Legends figure. Now, looking at the plane mode, I believe he's supposed to be an A10. I don't normally think red when I think of A10s, but that's fine. It's definitely got the shape for it. The thing that kind of bugs me about the plane mode is right up in here. Like, this is just kind of ugly, specifically with the coloring of things. I feel like this back here I could forgive, or, well, forgive is the wrong term, but I feel like I could look past this, but these bits in here are just not doing it for me. I really wish that these joints right in here were actually red instead of gray. And this back here also would have been nice if it was red instead of gray, because it just breaks up the top of the plane a bit too much. Though, otherwise, there's some nice detail. We got the, not quite air intakes on the sides there, but they are painted. Lots of little panels, rivets and whatnot in there to make it look like, you know, the actual panels you'd see on, like, the fuselage of a plane. It's got the big turbines in the back, which look pretty good. I kind of wish that those little red bits on the inside were painted, but I do appreciate that the outside is black. It's even got a third kind of turbine back there. And then landing gear there. I feel like I should go in and paint this guy on my own at some point. Maybe I will. I don't know. But, you know, the shape is there. And at the front, of course, has that very, very A10 kind of slightly bubbly canopy cockpit design there, and the little radar nub on the front. It's not a bad plane mode. I just wish that this was a little bit more like I wish this was red. I get why this is gray, but these could have been red. On the underside, it's very very folded up robot. Yeah, it's how these things go. So let's do a size comparison real quick. And here is Powerglide's plane mode with a Power of the Primes Deluxe. And yeah, he's not a particularly big plane, but he's a Legends class, so I think it makes sense. And with that out of the way, there's really not much else to do except get to that transformation. Now, I will say, just overall color-wise, I'm fine with the color scheme on Powerglide. I think the red and gray is fine, and from what I recall of the original toy that I used to have, it actually fits, you know, accuracy-wise. It's just that I wish it was broken up a little bit better here. But anyway, on to the robot mode. And just like that, there we have Powerglide in his robot mode, and I actually really like this robot mode. Here, the color breakup doesn't bother me anywhere near as much as it did in the plane mode, mostly because a lot of that color stuff that was in the midsection there is kind of tucked away into the back of the robot, so you don't see it that much. And he's a robot now, so I feel like that uniform color isn't entirely necessary. I still feel like it wouldn't have lost anything if this was red. So, yeah, I don't know. It's probably like a stability or strength tolerance thing. I don't know. But still, he's cool. And he is very, very Powerglide. Granted, I'm not a huge G1 buff, but I did on the original figure, and I remember the main things for Powerglide were the boosters around the calves and the wing shoulder things, which is actually kind of interesting. Like, you never really see that element mirrored in any other Transformers that I can think of anyway. There might be some out there that I'm unaware of, but I feel like you don't really see this in anyone other than Powerglide. And it works. The color is nice, the gray and red still works here. The breakup is nice. It works a lot better here too, because it's not like weird little bits in the middle. Instead, it's just thighs, arms, face, that's it. It's got a simple but nice silhouette. Very simple transformation, but it gets the job done. And yeah, he's cool. I mean, this is kind of, for what it is, it's kind of, I think, perfect. I mean, if it was a deluxe, obviously they would do more. It'd be very simple for a deluxe, but like for a Legends Powerglide, I feel like this is great. This is kind of on par with, was it Generations Cosmos? I think it's kind of on that level. For me, anyway. The face is also typical Powerglide, where he's got that kind of slightly conical head with a little thing on top, and then the face-plated face with the almost piercing blue eyes. He's good. I like I like Powerglide. I do kind of feel like maybe I will go in and paint some stuff on him eventually, but again, I think what's here is totally fine. The only real gripes I have with him in his robot mode, even for, considering that he's a Legends and all that, is like some of the posability is a little weird. Like, it'd be nice if he had bicep swivels, but I guess it's, for what it is, it's fine. It's more the stuff that they did to him for the combiner mode, gun mode, which is just, it's dumb. It's you put the arms up and close up the legs, and there's a few other things you do, like flip down the landing gear and stuff, but then what you're basically left with is a gun. You've got the targeting reticle up there, which they did paint, and then missile racks on the sides, and then these thrusters are supposed to be blasters, and I don't really like it. I kind of wish that mode was not included, because then he could have just been a really solid Powerglide without having to worry about that. Again, for what he is, I think he's fine, but it's stuff like this bugs me. Like the missile pods under his forearms. I think it just, like, you don't really notice it, really, but when you do certain poses, it is noticeable, and I feel like, that paint could have gone somewhere else. That molding could have been used somewhere else. This flap maybe could have folded up all the way onto his back instead of hanging down like that. Lots of little things, I think, that could have just been better. I don't dislike the idea of using him as a gun for a combiner, but I think he would have just been a stronger Powerglide if they didn't try and shoehorn a weapon mode in there. But just standing there, I think he's totally fine. Looks very cool. And just taken like this, I feel like I'm okay with this. This could be my one and only Powerglide rather than spending $80 on the third-party Masterpiece version or Masterpiece-alike version. I could be content with this. Anyway, let's get him off to the side so we can do one more little bit of size comparisonning. And here he is with a Power of the Primes Deluxe again, and I mean, he's a Legends figure. Of course he's going to be Legends size. That is to be expected. And just because I was actually talking about him a little bit ago, here he is with Cosmos, although this is the Transformers Adventure Atoms version. So this is the Takara version instead of the Generations version or the Power of the Primes version. You can mainly tell because the coloring's a little different, but it's the same figure as far as like construction and everything goes. I feel like, as I said, if Powerglide didn't have that gun mode that he's supposed to turn into, he could be just as much of a kind of perfect little toy as Cosmos. Though for what we've got, I think he's pretty dang close. And really, that is about all I can say about Combiner Wars Powerglide. There's not a whole lot to him. You know, he's a small Legends figure, but he looks good. He's got a nice silhouette. I think his proportions are nice too. I like how they kind of bulk him out a little bit. The original Powerglide was a little bit wonky with the way he had these like enormous mitts and giant feet and a bulbous head, and everything else was kind of lanky and thin. This, I think, bulks him out nicely in the chest and shoulders area. I just think he would have benefited from being designed as just a plane and a robot rather than having that gun mode. But hey, still great even with the gun mode in there. But that's enough about what I think. What do you all think of Combiner Wars Powerglide? I know it's kind of well after Combiner Wars is done, but I've covered old stuff on here before. Do any of you out there have Richtofen, and do you think that there are some things that he does that Richtofen doesn't quite pull off, or is it pretty much all Richtofen? Like, Richtofen is just perfect and the best Powerglide ever. Whatever your thoughts, feel free to chime in down below. I always enjoy hearing from you all. And while you're at it, also feel free to like or subscribe. Any of those things would make me a happy Rob. And remember, art is more than meets the eye.